It is.
Appreciate it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Respectfully. I'm your host, Cam Farmer, and today I have a very special guest with me, none other than Miss Cydney Delley. And Cydney actually graduated from Evans High School back in 2017, I believe.
Go
And
Knights.
for those of you that are just now tuning in, and for those of you that have been on the journey for a minute, I like to bring on former CSRA, current CSRA athletes, just to showcase their ability and what they were able to do on and off, in and out of their respective sport. So yeah, I wanted to bring Cydney on. So Cydney, I appreciate you for being here today. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Thank you. I love what you're doing, and I'm glad to be here.
No, I'm glad to be here too. I'm not even going to flex, man. I wanted to reach out to you sooner, but I knew that uh, I knew you were busy too. But also I didn't know if you would have like responded to somebody that you wouldn't have known pre Jason wedding.
Oh,
Um, you know,
no, I
so
would have. I mean,
y-
you're still one of. I knew you as Jason's friend, so
yeah, yeah, no, for
definitely.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Well, I'm this is your podcast as well. I'm just here to ask you questions, so I'm gonna just
Cool.
let you take free reign. But yeah, just kind of give a little bit about yourself, like what you're doing. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, graduated college 2021 from Wake Forest University. Ran all 4 years. Great experience. One of the best experiences. Um, Going to Wake was a great choice for me. And now I'm in tech. I'm in Atlanta. I'm working at Salesforce, technology sales, just running around Atlanta with my friends. That's basically what I'm doing.
No, I understand. I understand. So how has the transition, from Augusta to Wake Forest, to Atlanta, like how has that transition been for you? Moving away from your family, things of that nature, just kind of leaving everything you knew when you were little to going to a whole different university, Wake Forest, and then transitioning back to Atlanta. Like how's that transition been for you?
It was great. Yeah, like I was never staying home. I was never staying in Augusta. That was never, I think the closest I probably would have been in was Atlanta. But I took visits to school in Michigan. It's like I was all up and down basically the East Coast. And so never was staying home. So it was nice to get out of Augusta. It was nice to um, I was in North Carolina, but a lot of the people who went to Wake were from everywhere. When you're an athlete, like your friends are literally from all over the country, depending on where they're recruiting. And then even when you're not, talking about athletes, like there was just a good mix of people at Wake Forest. So really glad I was able to get that bubble popped. And then, coming back to Atlanta has been awesome because all my friends well, not all my friends, but like half of my friends in Atlanta are people who I was friends with in Augusta. And so it really kind of was like, and pick up where you left off with a lot of my friends. Like we all went to our respective colleges and like now we're back in the city and it's fun.
Yeah, no, that the pipeline from Augusta to Atlanta, that's real.
Yeah,
This,
definitely.
like the same people that know each other in Augusta are probably the same people that know each
Yeah.
other in Atlanta.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like my so obviously made friends at college, but my like core group of girls now, for the most part, except for maybe like two or three people, were my core group of girls senior year of high school. Like it's insane. So that's what, like, you talk about four lifers, like these are my four lifers. And they were, half of that group was my core group in middle school. So like we have literally been friends like
Sheesh.
forever. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
good.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
so kind of talk about that. Like how how blessed do you feel to know that your friends that you were friends with in middle school and in high school, and then now y'all are friends now. Like how blessed were you to know that God kept y'all's relationship together, because everybody that graduates middle school, in high school, they don't really stay in contact. I know we have social media and stuff, but
Yeah.
they don't really stay in contact like that. So how awesome of a blessing was it for you to still maintain the friendships that you had, that you cultivated when you were younger?
It's definitely a blessing. I think that, you know, time doesn't really equate like what's a good friend. You know what I mean? Like you can know
Right.
people for forever and then it doesn't mean much. But I feel really, really blessed that like the girls who I have like known for forever, and even like at this point, my friends from college, like I my two best friends from college were the hosts. They hosted me when I went to Wake Forest on my official visit. So that was my senior year of high school, and they were juniors at the time.
Oh wow.
So we only spent like 1 year together proper on the same team. But like those are my best friends from college. So I say all that to say, even my like college best friends were technically still high school best friends because I met them in high school.
Right. Right.
So it's been a long time, even for my like college girls. Needless to say, it's a blessing that I'm, still not only are we, length of time friends, but we've done life together. And like my friends have, been through a lot with me and I've been through a lot with them. And so it's cool. It's cool. And the thing is, we're growing together. Like, I don't feel like anybody, I'm not like somebody who's like, I don't want to say I really value my friendships. Friendships are very high on my list of things that I value. But also at the same time, I understand that some people are for seasons. Some people are just for, like everybody's not in your life to be in your life for the rest of your life. And so, like, the friends that I have, I'm blessed because we're actually also like moving together through life. Like we're all goal oriented, the same, we both faith, all my friends very, faith based. Like we're able to, really lock in together because you got to lock in. Like it's hard out here. It's crazy. People are crazy. Like that's the other
Yeah.
thing. Like people really are like, I feel like after college, it's like you figure out like who moves and shake like you. And like luckily, my friends who I've been friends with, we kind of have the same mindset. So
No, I completely understand.
yeah,
People really are crazy, and
yeah,
I what you just said, I attest that to me and your brother.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say,
You know what I mean? I've known Jason since the 5th grade, man, and
yeah,
I when I transferred from Evans to Grovetown after my freshman year in 2016. I was like, well, I'm probably never going to talk to Jason again. Like,
yeah,
I'll probably see him on social media. I'll probably wish him a happy birthday.
yeah,
Similar things. But next thing you know, here we are today. And
right.
yeah, I just saw him like a week ago. Like
I
we did leg
know.
day together, and I'm
I know, Jason. Jason, I don't know. He like loves it. Like I miss
yeah,
him too, but he's like relax. Like,
yes.
no.
Like nah, like I went with him last week, and I can't I promise you, like not lying, like I did leg day last Monday. My legs were hurting for a week straight, like the
Yeah.
entire week. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't go to sleep. Like one night I woke up just because of the pain. I'm like,
I know. I know.
thanks, Jason.
You'll have to ask him. So we were in Florida this past week visiting my
Right.
mom, and my mom has this like hill in her backyard. Florida seems pretty flat, and it is,
Yeah.
but there's some steps in her backyard, probably about I think in meters. So I would say about 60 meters worth of steps. And I had him running them with me on Wednesday, and he was laid out. I have to
I
send you
saw
the. I have you saw it? Okay, I have to
I
send you
did.
that video so you can insert video here of him laid out. And he was like, I haven't felt like that since track. And it's like, I still got you. Like, I know you all big and strong and all buff now, but don't get it twisted.
Yeah, no, I was like, is that Jason laid out
Fighting,
on the ground,
fighting,
bro?
fighting for his life. Fighting. But it was
No,
cool though, and I feel like that's how Jason and I like bond. Like we're
yeah.
crazy like that. Like we'll just go and like work out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just see I know y'all are siblings and nobody can get on each other's nerves more than your sibling.
Yeah.
But I know like you all are best friends, you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like y'all are just
That's
y'all are like
my
best friends to
boy.
me, man.
Yeah,
You
that's my
know?
boy. Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to go ahead and shift gears. I
Mhm.
kind of wanted to get that icebreaker out the way, just so our audience can get in, a bigger idea of who you are and what you
Mhm.
do and what you've, and just a tiny glimpse into your life. So,
Mhm.
um, I don't know if I want to start. I want to start with high school because when I was doing my research, I didn't want to just come on the podcast and I'd be like, hey guys, this is Cydney Delley. She's the sister of my closest friend. Like I
Mhm.
don't want to, but I wanted to do my research, and I knew you were gifted at track, Cydney, but like I didn't know you was like that for real. Like when because being at Evans, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Kaya Williams, Tyson Riley II, just a few
Mhm.
notable track athletes that came from Evans. You are one of the greatest track athletes to come out of Evans, the CSRA even. Not to say that because you're on this on the podcast, but like you still hold the record for, I got my stats right.
Handy dandy pad.
Like that right here. Like you still hold the record for the 200 meter and the 400 meter that you set in 2017, the year you graduated. And
Mhm.
then you won state champion. You won the state for the 400 meter in 17, and you took home third place in the 17 state championship in the 200 meter.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're her. I
No,
I, I just
thanks.
like I really commend you on the accomplishments that you have achieved in such a short amount of time. So I guess my question to you is um like was it always track? Like was your sport or was your calling like in sports, was it always track?
So, no. So I was a dancer, like growing up. My like when I say growing up, I was a dancer until about middle school. At competitive dancing, traveling, like every sport that I did for the most part, I did it like my, we were at not the highest level, but I wasn't just like half-assing. Like I was like running. Like if I was doing dance, I was there every single night till 10 p.m. Like if I was, when I did soccer, I did like Arsenal soccer. Like I was doing competitive, moving, running around the state in soccer. Same with basketball. So no, it was not always track. I think track just kind of emerged as like the sport that I was best at. In middle school, actually, um, my eighth grade year, I played basketball and cheered, like played basketball and for the women's game, and then would cheer for the men's game.
Yeah.
Um, and that team actually was like the best in the county at that point. Like, and I mean we're talking middle school, but so no, like it was not always it was not always basketball track, but it became a point where it was like, all right, like if you want to get some money, if you want to, if you want to get a scholarship, you really need to focus and lock in. And I think that that was kind of what I decided to do ninth grade. Like after ninth grade, I didn't play any other sports other than track.
So yeah, like you did a lot. Like you juggled a lot, of identities, so to speak. You were a dancer, you were a cheerleader, you were a basketball player, then you moved into
And then
track.
track.
You
I was doing
know,
track throughout middle, like once I tried out for track sixth grade year, and then never looked back.
oh wow. Oh, so you were
Hmm.
you were in track a long time.
Yeah, sixth grade
Wow.
is when I started.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
So the reason why I talked about your accomplishments so early in the show was you, and this is kind of like going in transitioning into your college career. um how were you able to juggle so many identities in one sitting? You at the end of the day, you were a multi-talented athlete. You were also a student. you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a friend, but you're also a Black woman. The things that have been happening in this country over the last few years and things of that nature. And then you see, some, African American men be murdered at the hands of police officers. Uh, as sports was an outlet for you, how was how were you able to effectively balance all of those identities in a time where the country's in turmoil, in a time where you know it felt like your voice did not matter, so to speak?
Yeah, so definitely. So, okay. So, like, high school definitely was more so just like track, you know what I mean? But once I got to college, and especially as I got in like my senior years of college, so like junior year, senior year, that's kind of when we had this crazy dynamic. Wild. It was wild. I think back on like how much stress, just honestly, how much stress I was under during that time, and I was like, wow. And I say that because my senior year, I was the captain of the track team at Wake Forest. I also was the vice president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I sat on this board that basically reported straight to the president of the university. So all this was going on while I was, um, you know, I went to nationals indoor for the distance medley relay, and we literally got pulled off the track because of COVID.
Mm.
Um, wasn't able to run. But I say all that to say that summer going into my senior year, that was the summer, like nobody went home for spring break because of COVID. And then there was the George Floyd, and yeah, so like, weren't you were in
I
school?
I was a freshman at Kennesaw State,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody went home, but y'all didn't go home.
No, no, that's what I'm saying. After
Oh,
spring, like everybody went home for spring break, and then like
yeah.
nobody came back.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
you know
got
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, like what do we do now? And that during the week of spring break was the week of nationals, was the week of NCAA's
Wow.
indoors. Yeah, and so I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, with my DMR team, and then we literally. And the thing is, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent because I'm going to answer your question, but the
No, you're
craziest
good.
thing was that I was on a team with an Australian, a Canadian, and a German. Like, we're who made up the DMR team for
Right.
Wake Forest at the time. And I just remember the chaos because their families were coming from all those different parts of the world, and borders were closing because of COVID. And we're sitting there at nationals and everyone is warming up. And then you just are going on social media and it's like conferences are like posting, like, we're suspending play, we're suspending spring sports. Because it also was basketball season. Like, yeah, it was, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
there was so many, there's baseball, like there was a lot of different sports, and it's like these conferences are canceling and pulling out of spring sports. And the ACC was like one of the last conferences to decide to pull. It was like us and like Big Ten or something. And so we were at nationals, like we're running against Ohio State. Like we're gonna run, like we were running until the very last, like, and it was
Yeah.
just so sad. But to answer your question, very, very stressful time. I remember having to um, decide, like, I think it was after George Floyd died, or maybe it was after, I can't remember, but I remember like just disconnecting my phone because being in a PWI, like Wake Forest, and being a person who is blessed enough to be respected not only by their peers but by their coaches and the athletic. I mean, I had the athletic director texting my phone like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? And it's
Yeah.
like, that's a lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
a lot. It was long conversations with coaches and athletic directors. And I hadn't had a chance to process myself what was going on before I was getting pulled to be like, well, we need to make a statement. And it's like, also, I had to remember, like, you know, while I've always been somebody who wants to be helpful in situations. There becomes a time where it's like I would be doing, and this is a realization that I came to at that time, like I would be doing my teammates and my, my fellow athletes and like the Wake Forest, student body, alumni, staff, I would be doing them a disservice if, I did not take a step back and like how would y'all respond, like respond
Yeah.
without the help of like the black students, like y'all, like how do you feel about it, you know what I mean, and like giving them that space so that other student athletes and other the Wake Forest population, I'm not saying I was making the decisions for them, like they were, you know
Yeah.
what I mean,
Yeah.
it got to the point where I told them, I said, if you want me to help you, if you want me to proofread something, I'll help you, but not saying they needed help
Sure.
proofreading, but it was like I am taking a step back right now because I don't want it to be like my coach through the mouth of Cydney Delley,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so it was hard. And then not only were we dealing with, the Black Lives Matter stuff, we were trying to figure out if we were going to um, participate in sports. It's like, what does COVID look like as an athlete? Like, how many times are we getting tested? How many times are we, you know, like what does it look like when everybody comes back on campus, like are we going to kind of hunker down together as a team, or are we going to, like, what does it look like being in classes, like do we want to make sure all of the athletes are taking online classes, like what is the protocol going to be if you get COVID,
Yeah.
what happens if a whole team gets COVID, do you cancel the game, do you reschedule the game, where do the athletes go who get COVID?
Right.
It was crazy. And then on top of that, it was an election year. And so it was
Yeah.
like, we got to get everybody registered to vote. Like, it was so crazy. And we need to, like, it was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
I hear you. Just from listening, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on was to get your experience, through the, at the start of the pandemic and then the domino effect that it had on a lot of other things. Um, so what did you do for your mental health? Because like I said, like you said, like you were involved in a lot, and facilitating, messages between the student body, so to speak, and the president. You were very involved. What did you do for your mental health to decompress, to like I said, in a country that is ravaged by a pandemic, and then you have the election year that year, and then you have Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. What did you do for your mental health to help you ease your anxiety? Any other mental health obstacles that you had to overcome?
so two things. The first, boundaries. Like I said, like I literally one day it was like 2 days, I think, where I just could not answer my phone. Like I just did not answer the phone because it was just overwhelming. It was too much. Um, that was one. And then when I say boundaries, also being around people who, you can bounce ideas off of, like not feeling like, there was a lot of weight and pressure, but like delegating. Like, for example, there was a president of SAC, like I was a VP, I was like the president of SAC, like relying on her, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
relying on the men's captain of the track team. Like putting and really collaborating with the people who I was, working with so that we could divide and conquer some of the stress. Also, I think remembering and putting things into perspective really did help me with my mental health. One, from the viewpoint of understanding this is uncharted territory. We've never had to go through a pandemic, um, you know, and try to be an athlete. We
Right.
also never had gone through and I mean, in our generation, I feel like we haven't gone through such a, um, there was a fire during once George Floyd died, that was ignited. Like not just from the smallest. I mean, everybody, people were going to not protests, but they were. I guess they were protests, but people were taking the streets. Everything from people taking streets all the way to like Nike. You know what I mean? It's like it was just
Yeah.
such a huge like everybody was like fed up, at one time. And so that was something that in our generation that I hadn't experienced before, just the weight of it all. So I think adding perspective to this is unmarked territory, and people are making decisions. While yes, the decisions that they are making are important decisions, and you should not ignore the decisions that people made during that time. But understanding that this is a time for teaching, this is a time to bring people in who don't know versus pushing people out because they don't know. And when I say don't know, like I think that a lot of African Americans, understandably, were extremely hurt and extremely, emotionally charged, understandably. But in my head, it was like in order for us to really like bring in this together and like make this mean something and worth something, it's education. You know what I mean? Like that was my main thing was like education. It wasn't first to anger. It was to like, let me try to help you. And then if you still kind of are like not getting it, like I'm not gonna sit here and, keep going back
Yeah.
and forth with you. But
I agree. I agree.
like I do think real education was necessary. And so that's another thing I was doing. Wake Forest now has a bias, prejudice, and privilege and racism project I was working on with some scholars from the athletic department, as well as some scholars from around campus and the mental health organizations, the different office of diversity and inclusion, like working with different offices on campus to have some type of educational program on like how did we get here, right?
Yeah.
And then as far as the athletics is concerned, or as far as the whole university, that was just for athletics. It's called BPPR, Bias, Prejudice, Privilege, and Racism Project.
Oh,
As far
cool.
as as far as Wake Forest as a whole, there now is diversity and inclusion. Like, how when you go to college, you have to like take courses on like rape and like drugs and like
Mm.
alcohol abuse. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, we were like, we need something on like on biases, right? Like
Right.
on biases, whether you recognize you have them or you don't recognize you have them, like something that is like you have to take it every single year in order to educate people, like open their minds to like, maybe I am. Some people just don't know,
Right.
like, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
it's not okay, but it's okay to recognize that, and then complacency is not okay.
No, it's not. No, it's
That's
not.
really the bottom line.
I was gonna ask, like, when it came to you educating, other people, was it uncomfortable to do that? I mean, when it came to me, I found myself educating some people at that particular time, but it was really uncomfortable, so to speak. So was it uncomfortable for you to educate others?
So I think not as much as other people, which is why I was in the predicament I was in, and I don't know why that's the case. I really
Yeah.
don't, but not as much as other people. And it's not, I was kind of almost questioning myself. Like, why do you have so much patience? You
Mm.
know what I mean? Because some of my, peers were like, I guess like pissed off and angry and like, and I was pissed off. It wasn't like I wasn't, but I was able to like have those conversations, those tough conversations with, and this is just me being honest with white male coaches, white male
Mm.
athletic directors in this very white space having those conversations. And I don't think it made me uncomfortable. And I think also that is and that's not that it didn't make me uncomfortable. I just was comfortable being uncomfortable knowing that like the conversation needs to happen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like,
Yeah.
I think that even is a testament to my athletic director at the time, John Curry. He was willing and trying to listen to the best of his ability, and so was my coach, John Hayes, willing and trying to listen to the point where I would like felt able to have the conversation. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, right? It was like that kind of spirit of discernment on people's hearts. And it's like, are they actually like listening?
Right.
Like, do they
Yeah.
truly want to do better? And
Yeah.
but it also, remember, I don't know if you remember, but at that time, it was like, it just took a spirit of like, do you want to do better? Or are you just saying this because if you don't say something,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
was that too. So,
Yeah. That's real. That was a real feeling, especially for
yeah,
me. I was, I was actually scared. I was like, well, dang, like, do I don't know if I should I say something or just let it
yeah,
be or
yeah,
going about my business.
yeah. I definitely think that, like, and I think about this often, how when that college age, when you're discovering your own thoughts and you're discovering your own feelings, and everything is so important and so crucial, and like everything just seems so like intense at that age, and everyone has these strong opinions, and it's great. Like, I think it's great, but it's like, I think it just intensified everything because we were in college,
Yeah.
you know?
And then social media, cherry
Yeah,
on top
made
of
it.
social
Yeah.
media.
It just felt so intense.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did your how was your parents? And that's kind of who I wanted to talk about next. How were your parents helpful to you? Um, you know, in that time period. Obviously, uh, you know, I'm sure they were like, "Hey, Sid,
Yeah.
come home whenever you want. Let me know.
Yeah.
Let us know." Um, how were they uh how were they helpful to you in that time, where like you said, you were setting boundaries, and you were stressed
Yeah.
with given everything that happened.
Well, I think one, extremely, extremely, extremely blessed. Extremely blessed. Because if you think about how many people came home for college and like didn't have, you know what I mean, a place to sleep, or a place, or parents didn't have the means to feed, now they have these extra, some people, their kids, they still have kids at home. It's like, now I have this extra mouth to feed that I didn't have before, you know what I mean? Or like, so I feel extremely blessed that I was able to have my worries on, how we were gonna lift weights with masks on, and not what am I gonna eat. You know what I
Right.
mean? I feel like that's a blessing in and of itself. But also just having a sounding board, having someone to talk to through it. And like, I think I think also, I think I'm listening. I think what they kept me going because they were like so awe inspired by like what like I was doing at school. And I don't think that, you know, in their upbringing, my parents were born in the 60s, lived in the 70s, 80s. Like, I just don't think there was one. I mean, I think they just missed the civil rights movement. So, like, they didn't really, like, this was their movement too, kind of,
Mm,
like,
yeah.
and so they were like, just like, it just was cool telling them about what I was doing, and like them getting excited about it. And then it's like, oh, I want them to stay excited, not
Yeah.
stay excited, not like I'm not taking pride in any of it, but just like having someone to like talk to, and like having someone to like, I don't know. It was good.
Yeah.
It was cool. I'm glad they were there. They were a little, they were a little, like protective. I
Yeah.
remember I wanted to, my boyfriend at the time, when you got a boyfriend and it's all of a sudden like COVID, and you got one person way over here in this side of the country, the other person this side of the country, it's like, hold on, I got to see my man. Like, and they're like, you don't know when the borders are going to close to Georgia. I'm like, Mama, there's no borders going to close in Georgia. Where is Georgia?
Your
Like,
your mom your mom said that, didn't she?
Oh yeah, she was like, "You're
That
not going to see him." I was like, "Bye, look, I am going." Like,
yeah, yeah,
it was
yeah. No,
it was crazy. Like people didn't see their you go from being with your friends and your like, significant other every single day to it's
yeah,
like when are we gonna see each other again? And it's like I think my parents just wanted me to give it a little more time
yeah.
to kind of see, but it's like it's not the world is ending. Like I'm going to see my man. Sorry.
Sid, bro. No, this your podcast. This is your podcast
Yeah.
too. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
No, so at the end of the day, I hear you. When I got back, because it was my freshman year. So when I got back from Christmas, my freshman year, that was really when like my friend group, I was like, oh yeah, like you know we're going out,
Yeah.
we're going to each other's cribs, we're having fun, you know what I mean, like. But then COVID just went ahead and just disrupted everything, and I remember uh Jason's and I mutual friend, Jordan,
Mhm.
he was like, "Hey man, we trying to hoop? You trying to hoop? Jason gonna be there, Ant gonna be there, Hanson, everybody they
Yeah.
gonna be there." I'm like, bruh, nah, my parents tripping, bruh. My
Yeah.
mom is tripping, bruh.
Yeah.
I can't go nowhere,
Yeah.
like, well, Cam, until the vaccine comes out,
Mhm.
you can go with your friends, but right now you can't
Yeah.
do it. So I was
Yeah.
just like, dang, man. Like, and similar to you, like, my dad was born in 70 and my mom was
Mhm.
born in 74. So in a way, like, this was their first
Mhm.
movement in a way as
Mhm.
well, because they didn't know what to expect. They
Mhm.
I they were like, "Cam, make sure you wear your mask," and I'm like, "All right, mom, bye."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, always that mask talk when it comes to mom, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
She didn't want any unnecessary germs in the house. So yeah, like, so again, to your parents, kind of just shifting gears. I'm glad we had that talk, because I wanted to kind of see, what it was like for you as a student athlete, but more specifically a student leader, at Wake Forest. You know, how you had to navigate, you know, your season being canceled right in front of you. And then, you're going back home, and then, all this stuff is happening, with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protest. So I'm glad we had that conversation. So you you were an exceptional student in the classroom. At Evans, you won the WJBF. Was it the scholar? It was some scholar award you got from the news,
Mhm.
WJBF. And then obviously, being at Wake Forest, you were a part of academic honor rolls and things of that nature for, was it all ACC and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So how has how did your parents, how did your parents' love and their guidance and their wisdom translate into you, so that you can be an exceptional student in the classroom? Because a lot of times, I'm gonna just go ahead and acknowledge the elephant in the room. When it comes to black people, specifically black athletes, everybody just looks at black athletes like they're nothing more than just
Mhm.
athletes, and they're not really. I was a graduate assistant with UGA Athletic
Mhm.
Association last year, and so everybody sees all of these talented, remarkable athletes, but it's like,
Mhm.
I wonder if they have that same energy, the way they're cheering for them on the field, on the court, in the swimming, or in the swimming pool and competitive swimming. I wonder if they have that same energy for them off, in
Yeah.
and outside of their sport. So how did your parents' love and guidance and wisdom translate into your academic endeavors that helped you be successful in the classroom?
Definitely like just priorities. And this goes back not only to my parents, but just like my village in general. I think I think you've heard this probably being Jason's friend is something that my parents and my family takes pride in. But Jason is a fourth generation uh, college graduate. So our great grandfather graduated from, I believe it was Tuskegee. So
What?
yeah, so this
I
is
didn't know
not
that.
yeah, so this is what I'm saying. We're not new to this, we true to this. And and it definitely
Yeah.
it definitely is one. I say that because it's a blessing, but also that's how we were raised. Like my both my grandparents were both my grandmothers were educators. So grammar. I know I'm saying like a lot and I'm saying a lot, so I'm glad they're not going to hear this. But see, but they were but I recognize it because I was corrected on it so much.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were really influential in our education. I was just talking to mommy about it the other day. Summer times, I was not, at home. I was in somebody's enrichment program, getting ready for the next semester or getting ready for the next, school year
Yeah.
while doing sports. So it just was always at the forefront. You weren't running track if your grades weren't good. That was never going to be the case. Jason wasn't playing football if his grades weren't good. I remember in sixth grade, actually, I had made the track team, but I had like a lot of zeros or something. Like I had like two or three zeros in one of my science classes. My parents told me I wasn't going to be able to run. Like they literally
Oh,
were like, no,
those
and
types of
and they
parents.
didn't, but they
Oh,
didn't know how. Like this was my sixth grade. Nobody had any idea how good I was at
right.
track yet. I just knew I
Right.
really wanted to do it, and because I had those zeros, they were like, you're not running. Like, and I remember I had a like a dry erase marker, and I used to have a mirror in my room, and I remember like drawing like the track shoes with the track wings because I was like, oh, I want to run track, but I got these zeros. So needless to say, like it was always very important. Also, I just think aside from like the education piece, just like the discipline piece,
Yeah.
so important, like
Yeah.
having parents who were like, you're not going outside unless the room is clean,
Right.
or you're not going to bed unless the dishes are done, or um, phones away at 10 p.m. Sorry, the ice maker's going
Oh
on.
no, you're good.
Phones away at like 8, 9, 10, depending on what age you are, like 11 o'clock curfew, like the annoying things that were sometimes a bit much, I think. But overall, just the mindset of like discipline, the mindset of, education comes first. You're not going to be out all times of night.
Yeah.
Who are your friends? I need to meet them. You're not going to spend the night,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So I appreciate them for it. It was hard. I wasn't like able to be, running around with the other people, but I think back and now I think about like the girls who I'm friends with now, like
Yeah.
all of our parents were like that. So you can really tell the difference, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
between between the people who had parents who were on them and those who weren't. And that's just honesty. I can tell the difference.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
I think I was the same way with my parents. I wanted some LeBrons. This was back in 2014, 2013. I wanted some LeBrons. My dad was like, "Nah, you're not getting no shoes until you make all A's." And I was
Exactly.
like, "Wow,
Yeah.
we being like that,
Exactly.
you got the money to do it,
Yeah, but
but
nah, you gotta work for it. You gotta
you
earn
got to work
it.
for it." Exactly,
Definitely.
exactly. So this is, last two last questions.
Hmm.
Obviously, I mentioned uh, your accolades. You being the still being the school record holder for the 200 meter and the 400 meter at Evans, while also being one of the most decorated track athletes to come out of the CSRA, while also being an exceptional student. How good does it feel to you to know that you've set a standard? Coming from a small town, Evans, Georgia, Martinez, so to speak. I was on y'all's bus route when I was in eighth grade, so I think Martinez. Yeah, Martinez. Um, but how good does it feel to know that you are one of the standards, academically, athletically, inspirationally. Obviously holding different identities in the school, outside of school, being in so many programs that your parents placed you in. How good does it feel for you to know that you set a standard at Evans High School?
So definitely want to like give all of that to God because um yeah, like he was moving in ways I didn't even recognize. And it's like now looking back on it, I think the more life you live, the more you recognize how God moves, like that immaturity kind of takes a step back and you like really can recognize it and you just take so much for granted, I think, when you're in that time. And so, one, I definitely want to acknowledge that that was nothing of my doing. And I don't even think I was doing it for me. I more so think I was doing it for people to come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, um, the only reason that I feel like I was that good was because there were athletes who I ran with who were setting a standard for me to go get. You know what I
Sure.
mean? When I was a
Sure.
freshman, I was on an AAU team called Velocity Striders, and I was on a lot of AAU teams.
Mm, mm.
Takes a village to raise a child. You know what I mean? It really does. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had great coaches, great trainers, coaches and trainers who have coached and trained great people coming out of the CSRA. But I just remember being on that team with, and I was one of the younger ones on the team at the time. With his name was Darius Watkins, and he had
Mm.
won the 100, 200 from Grovetown.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and I remember being at practice, and I was a freshman, and he brought his ring, like he brought his state ring,
Yeah.
and I just remember being like, dang, like I want one of those, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like he was one of those guys who really, and he ended up going to Virginia Tech. So, we had the ACC thing going on. And so was, he was one of those guys. I remember after seeing his ring, we had bleachers. And I remember like picturing the ring at the top of the bleacher and like
Yeah.
me just like going to get it, like, and just like, I want that ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like when I was either, I think I was a freshman, might have been eighth grade. I can't remember, but might have been 10th grade. It was when I was younger. So I say that to say that I think that, I had people sharpening me, and my hope is that God was preparing me to sharpen other people. And then even who people I was running with, like I don't know if you know, but Donald and Dominique McClinton from Grovetown,
That name sounds familiar. Those names sound familiar.
Beast, they ended up at Louisville. So,
Wow.
and yeah, they ended up at Louisville. And then Ty from Evans, he ended up at Georgia Tech in the 400 as well.
Really?
Yes, yeah. So he and I were the same age. He had some injuries, foot injuries, but uh, he ended up at Georgia Tech, and then Ben Jean from Grovetown ended up at Georgia Tech. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but the bottom line is, it wasn't like I was out there by myself. Like there was
Right.
people with me, Kaya, even like people with me who
Yeah.
was like we had dreams and aspirations beyond high school. We wanted to pay for school, and so
Yeah.
that's what we did, and it was cool.
Yeah. No, um yeah, those names did sound familiar.
Hmm.
You said Dominique and
Donald McClinton.
Donald
So
McClinton. Okay.
they started off at Louisville, and then they transferred to Kentucky.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but so Donald was like that in the 100 and 200. Like he was really fast. And then Dominique is a jumper. But, it's always cool. Like you go to ACCs, and then it's like the people who you ran AAU track with are there, and
Right.
you're taking CSRA pictures at ACCs, like it's
Yeah.
like we made it, we were at
Yeah.
Virginia Tech, and it was cool. So,
Yeah. Nah, that's definitely dope. I definitely have to look those
yeah, and
guys
I can
up.
give you their information if you want me to.
Oh yes, please, because
Hmm.
because I'm trying to expand.
Yeah, I got you.
You
They
know what I
they would
mean.
love to talk to you. They love to talk. They love to talk to
Just go ahead. Yeah,
you.
send me the information when we're done for sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So my last question. Were there ever any hopes of or
No,
aspirations of running
no,
in the
no,
really?
no, no. Everybody keeps asking me that.
You don't
And
even know what I was going to ask.
I
That's the
do. That's
thing.
why I said no expeditiously, because people always ask me that. And the answer is no.
But
My goal, my goal, listen, I track is a great sport. It's a beautiful sport. Track is not fun. I would not put track in a track sucks.
Why does it suck?
It's Do you like to run?
Listen,
Do you like to run?
I am a two-time champion of the second and third grade 50-yard dash at field day in Bonner Elementary School. So you and I, we're kind of, I'm a
Right
champion.
there.
I'm a
We're
world
right there.
champion.
That's how I feel. People tell me, people try to like talk about basketball, and I'm like, well, I got best defensive player in middle school, and they wanted me to play in ninth grade, but I told them no. Like that's so I get it. And I'm telling that to like people who are professionals now. So, but the bottom line is,
That's funny.
yeah. But the bottom line is, no, I did not. So track. I'm telling, and it really was the 400. If I was, and people can come at me all they want to. If you're running anything, if you're running 400 and under, I don't really want to hear too much because the 400 is the hardest race on the track outside of the 400-meter hurdles and the 800.
Yeah.
Those three right there, it's a different mindset. It's a different type of grit. It's a different type of, and so um, I experienced pretty intense cramps after running. Like to the point where I went to like multiple doctors trying to understand what was wrong. And it would happen after I would compete or after I would practice at that high intensity level as if I was competing. So
Yeah.
I say all that to say it was painful for me. Like it wasn't like I would run and then I would disappear because it was just that much pain. And so no, it did what it was supposed to do. I ran, I saw, I ran. Listen, I ran against Cindy McLaughlin. I ran with like Gabby Thomas. I didn't run against Gabby, but
Yeah.
that's the thing about track is that there is no there's no league. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so a lot of times when we're at these track meets, you'll see your name, you'll see Wake Forest, and you'll see Louisville, and then you'll see Nike, you'll see Adidas, you'll see New Balance. Like you'll see their sponsors, and you're just running with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's not like I knew because when I went to them track meets and I saw Adidas, and I'm like, I don't need to do this. And no. But the good thing is, I do. And at the time, and this is what's so crazy is that when I was a freshman, I hate to say it like it was so long ago because it really wasn't. But like track this, they weren't making the money. Like it's like if I was gonna
Hmm.
go and make like you can make more being at that time I wanted to be a doctor. But you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you make more doing that than you would being running track. But now
Sure.
I think that, I think women's track especially and just track in general, getting the notoriety. I think people are gonna put some money behind it and it's gonna be good.
Okay, I'm glad I asked that. Because I just wanted to, I'm sure you've gotten that question a lot. I just wanted to ask for myself,
Yes. Yeah.
just
No.
because like your accolades speak
No.
like volumes. So
But also at the same time, I will say, and I was telling my mom this earlier, I think that people's circumstances determine their reality. And
mm,
so if I was like Cindy McLaughlin, would I not be in the Olympics? No. Like I would
no,
just put up with the pain. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So I also just wasn't like that good, Like I wasn't nearly that good to be running in the Olympics. So
Sydney, you could say whatever you want. I
I
mean,
pinky promise you.
I,
I pinky promise you. Those
I'm a
girls
just
are freaks, but I love it.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like we were watching, my dad and I. We were watching the 400 400 relay. With the women's with when Sha'Carri when she won, and my dad and I were just watching it, and we saw Gabby Thomas hand the baton off
Yeah,
to Sha'Carri, and the handoff wasn't the best,
it doesn't
but it was a
matter.
lot better than the men's.
Oh my god, the
I
men's fumble and bumble. It's almost like they get like stage fright. But we're not gonna get into that. No, they need to change the way they do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, they need to change the way they do the relays in the Olympics.
No.
But yes, the girls are freaks, the boys are freaks. It's crazy.
You're saying that they need to change it. You mess around and be on the the Federation Committee for track and field or something like that, talking about, oh, we need
See,
to change this.
and see that I would not mind doing. We'll see where this goes, but like when it comes to like, I got opinions.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I got
Hey,
opinions. I could talk to my opinions.
hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm here for it because I got some opinions myself, but I'm just a
Yeah.
journalist, so my opinion doesn't really matter in today's
Well, your
society, anyways.
opinion's so important. Your opinion's so important.
So yeah, then I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
it's
But
so
but
important.
yeah, but yeah, that's all I had. All I had for you today. We're coming up right at the hour mark, so I'm not gonna hold you too long. But I sincerely appreciate you. Carving out some time in your schedule just to talk to me. About your journey, and your aspirations, so to speak. So I truly appreciate it. Do you have anything you'd like to add? Anything else you'd like to add? Or you're
No,
good?
I just think it's awesome. I think you're doing awesome. I think everything that you're trying to do with this, you will do because you speak so well and the questions are good and you got the right mindset. Just keep grinding. It's all going to happen for you.
I appreciate that. That's the goal. As you can see, I'm trying to carve out my own studio in the background. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? With the jerseys and stuff. But I
Mhm.
wanted to. I really want to do something with this. I do feel like God has really called me to do this.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really want to do something special with this. But that does not happen without you. And all the other guests that I've
Ooh.
had. So I wanted to bring you on just to share your testimony, share your stories. So yeah, but yeah, I really appreciate you for carving out some time. But yeah, please tell Ma Dukes I said hello.
I definitely
Please
will.
tell her I said hello.
I definitely will.
Jason, Jason and Ant, we were supposed to take a trip to Tampa this past summer. Hang out with Berlin and everybody, but
I know. I'll let mommy know that that was the plan. And
yeah,
then because Jason's schedule is like
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy.
we'll definitely get you guys down here.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. I truly hope. I'm a homebody, but also at the same time, I will run
We
the
like
steps
to
with
have
you
a good
guys.
time. Yeah. And you know how
So,
my family get down. So
but
we
what
like to have a
February
good
10th,
time.
February 10th at Augusta Rapids was a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, movie. It was a
It
movie.
was. It
It was a
was.
movie. But Sid, I appreciate you. I'm not going to hold too much of your time, but I truly appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking some time out. I'll have all of this edited, like I said, within the week and uploaded to your Instagram. Would you would you like for me? I'm going to edit this out as well. Would you like for me to add you as a collaborator or tag you? I
Yeah,
just don't want to.
sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Whatever you would normally do, it's fine.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Well, Miss Cydney, like I said, I'll have this up within the week. I truly appreciate you. Please be safe. Tell all your family I said hello, and I'll be in touch.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, guys, that is the end of this episode. I just had Cydney Delley, who's one of the most decorated. For those of you that don't know, who didn't know Cydney Delley, y'all know her right now. Y'all know her today. Y'all feel me? Please admire the nice studio I have. I have this nice couch behind me. I have my portraits in the back. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing year, amazing school year. We're coming. Go time is coming. I got my little mic flag right here. I'm gonna get me another one. I'm getting another one. So we're coming. Thank you guys. Be blessed. Stay safe. God bless you guys. Love.